myBALLPARK is a free online mode where you build up a team and facilities as a GM to try and win the Japan series. Even if you don't own professional baseball spirits, you can actually download this for free from the Japanese PlayStation Store. After selecting myBALLPARK, the first thing the game will ask you to do is input your name. Once you've chosen a name, the next thing the game will ask you to do is to pick a team. This will just set which uniform and stadium you play at. Once your team's selected, you'll then see your initial roster of players. The last option the game will present you is to choose a secretary. Secretaries play a vital role throughout the season. While it doesn't show it here, each of these three secretaries actually have an area they specialise in. Risa can excel in money contracts. Ano excels in contracts for gaining fans, and Rana excels in contracts for gaining equipment. You'll be able to gain more players, secretaries and coaches throughout the season, so don't worry about making the wrong decision here. Once that's all out the way, you'll be brought to the main screen. There's quite a few different options to choose from. At the top you have season. This allows you to play a season where you train up your players with the coaches and the secretaries that you have on staff to acquire money, fans and equipment. The whole aim is to try and win the Japan series, and doing so will net you some rewards. Next you have the ballpark. Here you can check out and upgrade your facilities that will help you throughout the season and also for when you want to upgrade your players and staff. Next is the event banner, and this just shows current events that are currently ongoing. Underneath the banner you actually have the menu for going to the events. Here we'll show you the current options for any events that are available, along with the ability to go to the training mode. You can also take part in mini leagues when they are available. Next you have the team composition. Here is where you set up team rosters, improve players, coaches and secretaries, and you can increase their abilities. Scouting will bring up a menu that shows you all the available banners where you can pull for new players using spirits that you earn. The shop underneath allows you to purchase energy, regain stamina, and also increase the amount of player slots that you have. And finally, the last option is the menu, where you can check notices, any owned items that you have, your friends list, and a few other settings. You can also press square on this screen and it will bring up the missions. Here you'll be able to see daily, weekly, and career tasks where you can earn spirits, items, and scouting chances. Triangle will bring you to the reward screen, where you'll be able to accept any rewards that you already have. And finally, pressing the touchpad on the right will bring up the league, which will automatically run once you set a team. Games will play throughout the week, and depending where you end up on the graph will determine if you go up, down, or stay in the same rank. While you can go straight into a season and start playing some games, it's a good idea to familiarise yourself with some important areas that will help you out. The ballpark contains 12 areas that you can improve, which will help you not only throughout the season, but when you're in the menus as well. In the beginning, you're only going to have access to 6 of the facilities, but as you win different levels in the seasons, you'll unlock some more. Each facility helps with different parts of the team and can be leveled up to a maximum of 99 using items. The shopping mall will reduce spending on equipment contracts. The athlete dorms will increase pitchers' fastball and players' running experience during training. The indoor practice range will increase pitchers' breaking ball and control experience. Recruitment will increase the revenue earned through money contracts. The hotel will reduce the amount of coins used when leveling up players, managers, coaches and secretaries. The team goods shop will increase the amount of revenue from merch sales during the season. Stadium increases the stadium capacity, allowing for more fans to visit, which will drive ticket sales and merch sales. Practice range will increase stealing, bunting and practice game experience. The gym will increase batting power experience. The amusement park will increase the amount of stamina recovered by secretaries when they take a break. The team office will increase the amount of secretaries you can use during the season and also the cost limit. And finally, the baseball information center increases the amount of coaches you can use during the season and their cost limit. Each one will require different items to upgrade. You can get these items by playing through the season and netting them as rewards at the end, but you can also acquire them by completing daily, weekly and career missions and also events. The next area you might want to look at is the team composition. Here you're not only able to set your team, but you can upgrade all your players and staff. The My Team button allows you to edit any order of any saved teams that you have. You won't have any at the start because you need to play through a season first. The next set of menus is all about players. At the top you just have the list, which will display all your acquired players, where you can also see their stats and abilities. Underneath that is breaking the limits, and this allows you to increase your player levels using duplicated players or items. High levels increase the stats of the players, which allow them to get more experience from the training practices they have the bonuses in. Unique skills allows you to improve player abilities using ability orbs. Increasing these will further increase the amount of experience on specific areas in training. Transfer allows you to exchange any unwanted players for coins. And finally you have the player mixer. Here you can either exchange 3 S rank or A rank players for a random one, or you can exchange 5 S rank or A rank players for a player from your favourite team. Next you have the director and coach options. At the top is list again, which will show you all your currently acquired directors and coaches. Next you have the rank reinforcement. Like breaking the limits, this allows you to increase your director and coach levels by using duplicated staff or items. Increasing a director's or coach's level will increase their cost, but for coaches it will lower the amount of weeks they need to fill their passion gauge, which I'll explain in a bit. And at the bottom you'll have the transfer option, which will allow you to get rid of any unwanted staff for coins. The next options are for secretaries. Again, at the top you have the list. Below that is the rank reinforcement, and much like the directors and coaches, here you can increase the levels of your secretaries. Again, increasing the levels of your secretaries will increase their cost, but they'll also unlock new abilities which can be used throughout the season. And at the bottom is the transfer option. The next button is for setting your initial team. You can either set your team and staff here, or you can do it at the start of the season, but I tend to find it's easier to do it here. This is because you're still able to upgrade your players and staff here, whereas throughout the season, you're completely locked out of it. The first button is about your pitchers. Here you can set your pitching rotation for the team either manually or by using the auto button. You can also filter through the second army using the third button. Square will cycle through different information for each player, and using L1 and R1 will cycle through the director abilities shown at the very bottom, which when fulfilled will increase the team's power. Next you have the fielders, and much like the pitchers you can set the batting order and the positions either manually or using the auto button. Again, you can filter through any of the players in the second army using the third button, and at the bottom you can use L1 and R1 to cycle through the director abilities. Next is the supervisor room, and here you can see your director abilities that can be activated by filling different requirements. Having a high level director allows for more abilities to be shown. You can also tab between the unique ones that your director has and also common ones which all teams have. The next button is for setting your directors and coach. Here you'll be able to change the director and your coaches from any of the available staff you have up to the cost limit, which is shown in the bottom right corner. If you're unhappy with any of the changes you've made, you can always press reset, which is the second button, and you can also filter with the third. The last button is for changing your secretaries, and much like the directors and coaches, you can choose between any of the available staff that you have. Again, there's a cost limit which is shown in the bottom right corner. Increasing the team office and the baseball information center will not only allow you to use more secretaries and coaches, but will also increase the cost that you can use as well. The last button is the library, and this is where you can see directories of players, directors, coaches and secretaries. If you want to test your luck, then you can always go to the scouting menu. Here you can spend your acquired spirits to capture for new players. Usually at the start there is a brand new starters banner which will allow you to pull for some free high level players, but normally the cost for most banners is 25 for one pull and 250 spirits for 10. You can buy spirits if you're able to from the PlayStation Store or Steam Store, but as a free to play player I've never actually felt the need to, and also I can't because I use my UK account rather than my Japanese PlayStation account. You do get a lot of spirits just by playing the game, completing events and missions. There's also step up banners from time to time, and that's a great way of getting some extra players. So while this mode is geared towards trying to get you to spend money, don't feel that you have to. Finally is the events menu. The first option allows you to participate in training games which change daily. Here you can earn ability orbs and other items. Selecting a training will allow you to take part in 10 matches, and as long as you keep winning you'll be able to earn more items. If you manage to complete all 10, it will unlock the next difficulty which will give you better items. You can also take part in mini leagues when they're open, as long as you sign up before the deadline. The next options will be based on when you're playing the game, as they'll show all the current events that are ongoing. There's constantly new events that run, and they all have different types of games and rules to play. They're also a really great way of getting spirits, player and staff pools, coins and other items. With all of that finally explained, you can finally crack on with playing a season. When you select season, you'll be presented with a bunch of different difficulties, but you'll only be able to select the top one to begin with. As you win the Japan series in each difficulty, it will unlock the next one down. The main reason you'd want to play on a higher difficulty is because you get better rewards at the end of the season. Each time you want to take part in a season, it will cost 40 stamina, which can be seen at the top. Stamina recharges at 1 stamina every 10 minutes. But if you are out of stamina and you don't want to wait for it to recharge, then you can always spend spirits to get it back. Once you've chosen a difficulty level, you can then still change your team if you wish to do so. One of the main important things though is to go to the final button, which is your secretaries. This is because you're able to actually add an extra secretary to your team, which is another player's secretary. If you're lucky, you might be able to get a high level secretary, which will really help you out at the start. But even just having an extra one is super handy. Once you hit OK, your secretary will introduce herself, and you'll then be given your first objective for the section. Season mode is split into 4 sections per season, with the 4th being available if you placed high enough during the season to take part in the Climax series. The first section will always give you an objective, such as level up a management command or earn a set amount of money, but the following sections will allow you to choose between 2 options, both having different bonuses depending on if you complete them. Playing an objective will not only give you those bonuses, but will give you extra picks of rewards at the very end of the season. You'll begin the season in February where spring training is taking place. Your secretary will ask you where you'd like to go and will give you 4 options to choose from, which will give you boosted training experience for the next 4 weeks. The top option will give you bonuses towards contact against left and righties, but also for power. The second option is for increasing your shoulder and throwing abilities. Third is for increasing your speed and for stealing. And the last option is for pitchers, so it will increase things like their ball power, stamina and control. Just as a side note, if you want to increase the speed of the attacks, then you can press square. Once you've played through enough seasons, you'll know which menus are coming up, and Square just basically eliminates all the text on the screen. Once your location for spring training has been selected, you'll be finally on the weekly menu screen. Here you can check your current standings, check your team and staff, look at records, and also change some options. Choosing next will start the week and take you to the secretary management screen. Director allows you to check your current director abilities, along with being able to check the player's stats. Team composition is the same as before. Items allows you to use any items that you've managed to get through contracts. Records allows you to check things such as your batting averages, your win-loss records, and other team stats. And at the end you have settings. Here at the top you have interruption. This will allow you to pause a season. You can either restart from the save point or begin a new game when you select season again. Next is the match settings, and this is the same as other modes. There's not actually a lot you can change here aside from things like replays. The match digest screen allows you to see how you can view games when you've chosen to watch them. The scheduled digest settings allows you to change how often you can view games during the regular season and postseason. Production settings allows you to change things like the speed of the game, how often you see reports, and whether you see certain screens between management commands. And finally is the help button, which displays everything in Japanese. On this screen as well as some other bits of information. At the top you are able to see the date, the current section you're in, how many weeks are left in that section, your current money, your team condition, and your current objective. The diagram to the right also shows you all your team stats in each area, and pressing square will allow it to swap between your ballpark stats. R1 will bring up all of your chat logs, and triangle will show you the section splits. Once you decide to start the week, it will bring up all your secretaries and their current stamina. You can set each one to take part in a management command. At the start there's only money, fans, and equipment, but if you play on higher difficulty levels you're also able to use item commands. Each secretary will have an area they do better in, along with bonuses or negatives that will apply depending on their levels and abilities. For the first 4 weeks though, you're only able to select money and fan contracts, with equipment being available after that. If you're unsure what you should be selecting, you can always hit the auto button and that will allow the game to select for you. Money is used not only to purchase equipment, but it's also used to take part in every contract as well. Having more fans will bring in more money each week from games and merch sales. Equipment boosts training experience. Item contracts allows you to gain items which can be used on the main menu. Each contract will show the amount of weeks it takes to complete, the percentage chance of that secretary passing it, and what you will get and the cost. As you complete contracts, you'll also level up the command. A higher level command allows for better contracts or higher level training equipment. The max level of the command is determined by the star level you chose at the start of the game. Taking up a contract will use the secretary's stamina, and you'll be able to see how much stamina they'll lose by hovering over them. The less stamina they have, the worse the chance of them passing the contract. They can regain stamina by not selecting any commands during that week. Once you're happy, you can press right on the touchpad and that will advance to the training screen, or if you've got any secretaries you haven't given any commands for, it will ask you one final time if you're happy to proceed. Next you'll be on the training practice, and this will give you 5 fielder practices and 5 pitching practices. You're only able to select one practice of each per week. You'll see random players on some of the practices along with the coaches you selected beforehand. Depending on the player's stats, they also may get a boost, but they can also get a boost if it's the player's favourite practice, which is indicated by the text underneath their name in the top bar. If you select a training with a coach, it will increase their passion gauge by 1, and once filled, they can perform a passionate coaching session. This will double the amount of experience players will get and potentially teach new skills to players, especially if it's their coach's favourite practice. Players and coaches will randomly change their places each week. Any coach that has their passion gauge filled though will tend to gravitate more towards their favourite practice. 5 fielding practices are hitting practice, which will increase your contact against lefties and righties, weight training, which increases power and shoulder strength, base dashing, which increases running ability, fungo training, which increases defensive aptitude, catching and throwing, finally practice games, which increases contact against lefties and righties, but also defensive aptitude. For pitching practices, you have fastball practice. This will increase the fastball speed and power. Next you have running, which will increase their stamina, their ball speed and power. Curveball Research A will increase breaking ball power and break. Curveball Research B will also increase their breaking ball power and break. And finally, ball control will increase their control. Once training is complete, you'll be brought to a stat screen where you'll be able to see all your players' improvements, and then you'll finally move on to the week's games. As it's spring training, the first 4 weeks you won't see any games, but after that you'll play a few practice matches before the season officially starts. You'll also see how your secretary's stamina is going with them doing their contracts at the bottom. Sometimes secretaries that are working on contracts may also complete them early or run into an issue delaying them. Once you're done for the week, you'll move on to the income screen, and this will show you any increases in fan and incomes from tickets and merch sales from the week's games. Finally, the last screen is the contract screen, and this will show you any that have been completed. It will show you whether they've been successful or not, along with any increases to any management command levels. You'll continue this cycle throughout the whole season, increasing player stats while also earning money and purchasing equipment to better their training. At the end of each section, you'll also be able to see the team's growth against others and given new objectives for the next section to come. There's quite a few different objectives the game can throw at you, such as earning enough money or fans, buying a certain amount of equipment, or making sure that enough passionate coaching training sessions have taken place. Once you've got to the end of Section 3, if you've ranked high enough, you'll be able to take part in the Climax series. The objective for Section 4 is always to win the Japan series. After either winning the Japan series or not, you'll see your yearly earnings. You'll also then be given the option to save your team, which can then be used in training, mini-leagues and other events. Finally is the reward screen, and depending on how many objectives you completed throughout the season, you'll be able to pick up to 12. The rewards always change, but it's usually a mix of things like coins where you can use to upgrade players, items to increase your ballpark, player, manager or secretary pools, and player, coach and secretary upgrades. And that's it, that's just a quick rundown of my ballpark mode. At the beginning I didn't really play much of this mode because it requires an always online connection, but I found over the last couple months that I've been playing it more and more. While the game is trying to make you spend money so you can pull for better players, I've honestly found it really fun just playing as a free-to-play player. And while I'm unable to actually spend any money even if I wanted to, I'm doing relatively well. There's always a new event going on, and some of them have been pretty fun. It's been things like board games, roulette wheels, and a load of other different things. So if you're interested, I recommend giving this a go, especially while you're able to still pull for some high-level players for free at the start. If you found this guide helpful and you'd like to support me, then you can always drop me a tip on Ko-fi. And that's it for this guide. I hope you're all enjoying playing the game, and I hope you enjoyed this mode too. So enjoy the game, and I'll catch you on the next one.